What we haven't
But
mentioned in this talk is that our lives were in upheaval for all of those months while we couldn't leave we would have moved probably because our life was over there,
well, we didn't know.
and we were ostracized not only by our immediate community but by all of Sikh Dharma too. So we really had no community. We had no friends anymore. We had our families didn't know what in the world had happened. The point I'm making is we were bound by law to stay there because we had to keep going to court.
We were bound by our income's gone now.
Yeah, we had to go in front of a judge. It was devastating. It changed everything in front of the judge, and
I was summoned back. I was summoned back to court after this meeting with the assistant district attorney, where they're explaining to me that it's like Mickey Mouse, and if you're wearing Mickey Mouse ears, you're part of the Mickey Mouse Club. And yes, they were using the word cult and cult leader and cult followers. But this was all just, our bubble was burst just right now. And like I said, I can't get anybody to talk to me out of Los Angeles. I only got one call, and that was from Ram Das Singh, the attorney. And in the early stages, all he wanted to know from me is, what does the FBI know?
Wow.
Well, shit, I didn't know what the FBI knew. But the point is, we ended up going to, after this meeting with the ADA and the detectives, I got summoned back to appear in court, and she stood up, and the judge called my case, and she said to the judge, Your Honor, I wish to dismiss all charges against Guru Bir Singh in the interest of justice. And he was floored. He was floored, but when the gavel came down, all charges were dismissed against me in the interest of justice. Unfortunately, Kirpal was sentenced to San Quentin State Prison. But our life was, everything's gone, everything's shattered, everything's burst. Our family, we hugged each other. We put what little we had in a U-Haul trailer and drove away. My attorney said, I've never had a client where, let alone a family, that doesn't know who they are, where they're going, what they're going to do, who they're going to be, and what they're going to do when they get there. And he just had never seen anything like that.
Every point.
And we just left, and we just, it was 18 years was over like that. And we just said, you know what? This is graduation. Well, we graduated from elementary school, from middle school, from high school, from university. Why wouldn't we graduate from this? So we weren't just going to go, totally destroyed. We just didn't have a clue who, what, when, where, or why the rest of our world was going to go.
There's a few things we did with quite a bit of intention. One was that we weren't going to let this make our lives into being victims. We decided we are not victims. We are going to do our inner work, get clear within ourselves of who we are birthing now. What is our life about now? Who are we? We took our children, we all went to counseling. We did a lot of proactive things for our inner growth. And we knew deep inside, in the midst of the devastation, in the midst of being let down by the family, the Sangat, our spiritual teacher, everything, we knew that our relationship with Creator could not be impacted by other people. And that was that was our North Star. We kept that as our intention in everything as we move forward. We also knew that, at least from my perspective, well, when everything gets taken away, there must be something really magnificent that's going to take its place. And that was the way that I chose to look at it. Not to say that we weren't devastated, we weren't grieving, we weren't completely impacted, we weren't trying to figure out where we belonged, what we were going to do. I mean,
We went through the 5 stages of grief. We always knew where to bow our heads.
yeah,
And honestly, spirit, source energy, whatever you want to call that one creator, was always there as long as we listened to that silent voice. And we just got real humble, real fast, and listened as we were guided, and having no idea where we're going and what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, when we look back to just a few years ago, when we look back on all of this, we see it, what a divine, it was totally divine. There's no right, there's no wrong. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. And yes, that's a part of the song from the 60s. But my point is, everybody's path is different. But there's only one creator, and that same creator that breathes in me, breathes in all of my brothers and my sisters and everyone else. And my path, our path, is not everyone else's path. Did we feel devastated? Well, yeah. Was everything, I had no idea. I never planned on not being an Amritdhari Sikh for the rest of my life. That's another story for another day.
Yeah,
Because I